Welcome to the official SDFC podcast presented by Ford. I'm Kaila Brent Hefner here with Marvell Sal Zizo for episode 20 of the official SDFC pod.
I was going to say that.
Were you?
Yeah, but
that's weird.
San Diego, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We're 20 episodes in. We've got a lot of fun stuff for you guys coming up today. We've got a goalkeeper-centric episode. Really exciting. We're going to talk to assistant coach Jason Grubb, who is our goalkeeper coach and our set piece coach. We will also talk to goalkeeper Pablo Sisniega. So a lot coming up in this podcast. But first, just talk about most recent result, 1-0 loss for San Jose. Guys, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's another, I think, missed opportunity to get some points at home in front of your fans. And I think, they recognize that. They recognize the missed opportunity, especially it being our last regular season game at home. I think the game went exactly how they thought. I think we just couldn't put the ball away, especially early on. Obviously, Chuki's chance over the goalkeeper's head just hits it wide. I think you give him that chance 9 times out of 10, he's going to score that. So at the end of the day, the result wasn't there, but I still think the performance was when you really look at it as a whole.
Yeah, we're playing as we are. No one's really knocked us off of our game. But again, their goal, just another one of those counterattack situations. You run by, get through, and then pass it on, and there you go. So these are things that, this is a game that felt familiar. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the little things that we just need to tighten up a little bit, and then it's all there. There's no drastic changes that need to be made. We've got the talent, we've got the tactics, and we've shown that we can perform no matter where we are. Just sometimes, actually no, not at all does possession win games. Possession does not win games. So hopefully we get this all nice and wrapped up by playoffs.
A similar stat line to the last couple of ones that we've talked to some of our assistant coaches on this podcast, but 19 shots. A lot of chances were created, but obviously not enough to end up putting the game away. Let's hear from Mikey on what he had to say about what this has taught the team leading into playoffs.
It comes down to details, little details, finishing quality, concentration in moments during counterattacks. And these are the kind of games that I think teams are going to play us in playoffs here because they show a lot of respect. So it's good that it's happening now and that we're taking these lumps from a growth mindset perspective of okay, it's not big things that need to change, but what little things do each and one of us, including me, have to add in these final weeks to make sure we hit playoffs in best conditions when we can see a game like this happening. Because that game could also open up into a route for us, right? If we have the quality in the final actions. But it comes down to details. And right now we know all of us will be putting our heads together and looking in the mirror to discover what little things we can do to make sure we hit our stride. Because if we hit our stride, I think we're going to be quite dangerous.
It's interesting because you look at you go off the Minnesota game and the San Jose game at home, right? And they're both eerily kind of similar. Mm-hmm. You don't put away your chances early on, you give up a goal, and it is what it is. But you'd almost prefer a loss out of those because what it will do is it will show okay, hey, what do we need to do still in these games to be able to win them, right? I think if you look at it from the start to finish, they gave themselves the best opportunity to win these games, and it just didn't happen, right? But now with a loss, you're still shoring up the mistakes that you made that caused you to maybe lose the game. Whereas if what Mikey said, that game could have ended in a rout. You win 3-0, you win 4-0. Now, I wouldn't put it past our coaches to still analyze a game like that, at its best quality to then affect our performance for the next game. But I do think there's a mental aspect that no matter how much you can dominate a game, you can still lose a game. So no matter how in control you feel, it's just a reminder, no matter how in control you feel in games, you can still lose, no matter if the game's in your favor. So playoffs are like that. Playoffs are made by 1 or 2 plays, a team making it, an individual making it in certain moments and over the entire course of the season. That's why I always found it funny when teams at the end of the year go what do we need to do to go further next year? And it's well, you kind of did everything you needed, and it's just like up to like one play, and you can't judge an entire season off of one play. So then why are you trying to, justify the season? So I get it, but I do think like San Diego's path, they're going in the right direction. They're hopefully going to be hitting playoffs with the momentum on the upswing. And then again, give yourself the best odds to happen. And then you just hope that you finish these chances, and you hope that you take care of those counterattacks, and you make all the little plays individually that lead to a victory.
Yeah, you can learn something from every game, but these ones were felt.
Yeah.
The losses at home against two teams that when you feel like you dominated, so it's like you on the pitch, you feel very different on the pitch than off the pitch. So on the pitch, you're feeling positive, you're feeling straightforward. It's like, all right, we got this. Going at it with some gusto, right?
Yeah.
But then you get knocked, and it's going to hit a little bit harder than you would have expected. So if you were going into trainings for these last couple of games, going into playoffs, it almost adds a little something to you, a little brash, a little sharpness. So we'll see what they can do with it.
Got 2 regular season games remaining on this schedule before we roll into playoffs. Houston this weekend on the road. And then we go back on the road for Decision Day in Portland. 2 really important matchups with teams, that are fighting for good position in the playoffs as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the entire table of the MLS, and it's like there's so many range of outcomes. I mean, the team that's in, I don't know what it is, maybe 10th or 11th place still has a chance to make playoffs into that wild card spot at 9. Spots 1 through 4 in the West are pretty much up for grabs. So, I mean, you can't really put too much of a predictor on who we're going to play. I mean, it might even be the case that you play Portland in the last game of the year and you end up turning around and facing them again in playoffs for a possible 3-game series. So, just such a huge, range of outcomes. You just hope that, just like most teams in any sport, is you finish the season strong with good momentum, and then hopefully that momentum can carry you through the playoffs.
And our coaches have really made a point to say, no matter where we go, no matter who we're playing, we want to play the same. But you can't ignore the gravity of the situation that we're in right now, potentially trying to get ourselves in the best seat possible, try to give ourselves some advantage. And again, they might be saying this in the locker room or not, but the players are, feeling it as well. As we've been in that situation. So it's going to be weighing heavy no matter what.
We'll deep dive into our playoff seeding predictions in a second, but 2 pieces of news just to run through before we get to that. First off, for our U20 men's national team youth players that are off on international duty for the U20 World Cup, Pedro Soma, Luca Bambino, and Duran Ferri. Just a quick update for them. 9-1 win versus New Caledonia U20 team.
Gosh, disappointing they let in the goal. I mean, come on. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Duran didn't play in this game, so we can't blame that on him. But Pedro and Luca both got about 45 minutes of playing time in, so really good to see them to continue to go and represent the country.
Yeah, good luck the rest of the tournament. Again, a tournament that Marv and I played in that really kind of springboarded my career as long as Marv. So hopefully I can do the same for them.
And then another one, this just happened on Friday, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys have seen this, and we've been building up to it and talking about it for quite some time, so it's not new news, but it's really exciting to officially launch San Diego FC's Right to Dream Academy. It officially opened on Friday with a grand ceremony with a ton of people in town. It was a really beautiful ceremony here. I have a clip from Commissioner Don Garber talking about just what this means for soccer in this country moving forward.
Our goal is to build a soccer nation in our country, a sport that can deliver on the hopes and dreams of millions of fans, with countless players, with partners like the partners that are here in this room, and with families that can be a part of this great journey. And this experience here with this club and with this Right to Dream Academy is truly the stuff that dreams are made of. And I never would have thought that I'd be standing here today with our 30th team and this wonderful program. So congratulations to all of you that have been part of building this great dream.
Being able to play professional soccer is a dream. And you can bring that dream closer and almost tangible to these kids by not only having more local teams, so having one right here in San Diego, as well as an academy where you can play on the same grounds as the people that you look up to and are living the dream that you want. to being in the same facilities to studying in the same areas. So it just makes it all so real and so close to them that they can almost touch it. They can hang out with some of the players. So this is a wonderful experience. And, I'm not just green with envy at this moment, but it's completely fine.
Yeah.
Check. Mark marked it on the 20th episode of the pod. He's envious again. All right.
I don't think that'll ever not show on this podcast, but just in general, like, it being in San Diego is really cool. San Diego being on the forefront, I think, of youth development now in U.S. soccer. And the fact that they're building, not only building soccer players, I think that's what's cool about Right to Dream is they're building the people and the character first, and then the soccer players second. They don't leave any kids behind. They're building, these kids to be leaders off and on the pitch. And I think that's really cool. And I was lucky enough to speak to some of these kids, and it's like, man, they're such the nicest
so
kids.
impressive.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Very impressive for their age. Like I remember, talking to them, it might've been on a Thursday or Friday, and they were just kind of there. And, I was asking, oh, did you guys train today? And he's like, oh no, we didn't train today. We did like jujitsu class, like for character and character building. And I'm like, geez, wouldn't that have been nice at that age to just start learning like wax on, wax off at such a young age, stuff like that. But no, yeah, I just think it's really cool. Obviously Don Garber being here and what Saquon's done with this facility and the ownership group. It's just been a wild ride. And we know that this is just the beginning for this Right to Dream Academy. This is the start. And then once you start funneling in more kids, because, right now there's just one team right now. And every year you're going to add one until it gets to the, U18 age group or whatever it may be. But it's going to be wild. You're going to start to see these kids start churning out, playing at Snapdragon on Saturdays and Sundays. So it's going to be awesome to see.
We can't wait for you all to get to meet and understand and know some of these kids as they continue on this journey here. They're so impressive. Like you've mentioned, they're doing media availability after this ceremony, and you can just tell that they are, just really, really great kids and great soccer
like
players
10
too.
to 12-year-olds right now, something like that.
Yeah. So more exciting content to come to kind of get to know some of those kids from the first class. But let's dive in to playoffs.
Yeah.
Last week, we talked to you a little bit about the playoff structure and what that's going to look like. Now we've got a little bit more of an understanding. We've got 2 more regular season games to go. So we've got a little bit of a closer picture on what seeding can potentially look like. So we're going to run through some potential scenarios for you. Right now, it looks like mathematically we would be one of the teams that would have secured home advantage seeding for the first game of the round of 3 series. But who we would play could be anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, look, SDFC could finish first all the way to 4th. So you look at those 4 spots. Yes, you're guaranteed, the first game and then obviously the last if it gets to it in that first 3-game series. But who you can play, it could be Seattle. It could be Portland. It could be who else?
Austin's in the mix. Colorado's in the mix.
Yeah,
San Jose now, especially with the win this past weekend, are in the mix. Even Dallas and Salt Lake and Houston.
I mean,
the only 3 teams that have been mathematically eliminated as of right now are St. Louis, Kansas City, and LA Galaxy.
Yeah. And you look at that too in the schedule part, and you had San Jose last game, who is fighting for their lives to get into playoffs. Now they're in that last 9 seed kind of wild card spot. And now you're going to be playing, Houston team who needs to get into that spot as well. So it's like these teams are desperate. These teams are already in playoff mode, right? They're already there. And so that's what makes these games very tough. And, obviously the higher the seed San Diego finishes, the better, because then they'll have that playoff advantage later on in the playoffs at home field. So it's just going to be interesting, and it's really like a dogfight all the way to the end, and it's probably what MLS wants, because literally there's teams can finish all over the place, and seeding won't be decided till the last game of the year.
We kind of want the dogfight, don't we? Don't we like the playoff
meaningful
sports and all that
games?
stuff?
Love the
for
playoff
sure.
energy.
But just our style of play and all that, we can almost use that to our advantage, I think. Teams are going to be coming out, we got to win. And, let's play cool, calm, and collected, coming back. I know you want it, come and get it. But again, when it comes to playoff time, sometimes the nerves get to you. Sometimes players might get a little shy in front of a goal. Sometimes players want to make an easier pass as opposed to going for it. I have a feeling that this team is far more mature than a first-year team has been in a very long time. So hopefully we'll be able to take this cool, calm, and collected demeanor into the playoffs and actually get some results.
Reminder, the top 4 teams sitting right now, currently we are leading the Western Conference with 57 points. That's right tied there with Vancouver, also at 57. Minnesota has 55. LAFC has 53. But LAFC and Vancouver both have games in hand, while we and Minnesota do not. So it's going to be interesting to see how these next couple of games go in terms of what that kind of rank order looks like. And then teams 5 through, I guess, all the way down to 10, because you don't know who's going to make it into that wild card position of that 8 to 9 range is Seattle, Austin, Portland, Colorado, San Jose, Dallas, and Salt Lake in that order. And then Houston kind of sitting out there, 36 points. So really could look like any number of combinations here.
Yeah. And then you look at, the Supporter Shield race and Philly's big 6-0 win really catapulted them. I think gave them some distance. And I think that the few teams that could chase them are teams that just have games in hand that can maybe win out. Miami comes to mind. I'd have to look at Vancouver where they're sitting. I think they're same as San Diego, but with a game in hand. So they can get to 60. So they'd be 1 point or 3 points away, 1 win away from Philly. So even that can kind of finish, but like I said, that'll be an interesting race down the stretch as well.
Yeah, Miami has 2 games in hand when you look at what they're looking like in the race on the Eastern Conference side. Philly's sitting there with 63 points. FC Cincinnati, with just a recent Eastern Conference loss, is sitting at 59. Then goes down to 56 for New York City. They've got 32 games there, so probably not looking like they're going to make too big of a jump. Then Miami's sitting there with 56 points and those 2 games in hand. So
if they win out, they're at 62, 1 point away from Philly. But it's going to come close. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Messi. So
true.
Anything can happen over there.
Even our conference. So we're working our way to the playoffs, but we're not quite there yet. And it's kind of they can put the pressure on knowing that our seed is not completely in our hands because LAFC and Vancouver have games in hand. So we just got to try to win as many as possible. So there is more pressure, I would think, than it was regular during the season. But as of right now, it's just, guys, if we don't get these points, we're going to keep dropping in the seeds and we're going to get, something might happen to us. Might be having to travel further than we want to or what have you. So I think this little bit of pressure is actually going to show some character that we can bring out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're playing to get a home game, in the playoffs. And as important as that is, I mean, SDFC's proven time again that they're
very good on the road
team. So, finish these games strong and then figure it out from there, I think.
It's going to be exciting to watch it all play out. And it's really going to be an exciting decision day in Portland for us on October 18th. So stay tuned. We've got so much more content coming for you.
It's the summer sales event with the Ford Groom.
Sam, 30 seconds on the clock. The Ford Summer Sales Event.
Great time to buy.
Correct. What do we have amazing deals on this summer?
Ford trucks and SUVs.
Is Ford America's all-time best-selling auto brand?
Let me think. Yeah, it is.
3 for 3.
What do I win?
You get to work at the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Amazing. I think I was going to do that anyway.
You betcha.
Based on Automotive News Almanac historical data and industry-reported sales data from 1909 through 2024 CY.
As the official specialty insurance partner of San Diego FC, Palomar offers standalone earthquake insurance that protects property and peace of mind. It's crucial to be prepared. Visit plmr.com or contact your insurance agent for a quote. Palomar, reimagining specialty insurance with innovative, creative solutions.
All right, we are joined by goalkeeper Pablo Sisniega. Pablo, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So take us all the way back to the early days. I have some photos of you that I want to pull up in a minute, and we'll show on our visual version of the podcast that kind of show us a little bit about your childhood. But walk us through your pathway of starting playing to where you are now.
Yeah, so I grew up in Mexico City, in Guadalajara. When I was really little, I started, when I was 3 years old, I started playing in Mexico City. From that age on, I was like, I want to be a professional football player. Then when I was 8 years old, we moved to Guadalajara, and then I started with the Chivas Academy at 9 years old. So I was there until 14, and that's really where I kind of saw what it would take to become a professional footballer. So that's where I really fell in love with the game and was able to develop as a player before I moved to Philadelphia.
And
Were
then
you
take
always
us
a
through there,
goalkeeper?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. When I was 8 and I went to the tryouts for Chivas, my favorite player was Iker Casillas. But I was kind of playing in the field and in goal. And that day I happened to take an Iker Casillas jersey, like to the tryouts. And they're like, actually, in your age group, we need a goalkeeper. So I did well that day in tryouts, and they were like, "Oh, you're our goalkeeper."
There you go.
Isn't that funny? Like, and then it changes the whole course of your career.
Little jersey.
And then I got stuck in that position, you know. There's nothing you can do after that. So yeah, that's how it started.
So we have these photos courtesy of your mother.
Oh my God, let me see this.
Take us to these moments.
Wow. Yeah.
We'll showcase this on the YouTube version of the podcast.
Yeah, so that picture is literally at our house in Mexico City growing up. And yeah, that's my
How old are
origins
you?
and goals. I was probably, I want to say 5, 6, maybe around that age. I was little.
And then here.
Oh, that's at this indoor facility they had in Mexico City. And that's where I really got started. That was my first soccer coach. And yeah, it's bringing back a lot of good memories. So that's awesome. I was probably, 5 or 6 there. Oh, and that's in the Selección Jalisco. So that's in Mexico, they do this thing called the Olimpiada Juvenil, which is like the Youth Olympics. So the best player from every state go and compete for their state, and they do like a national tournament. And that was when I was playing, I was with Chivas Academy, and that's when I was playing with Jalisco. And it's actually funny because in the final, we played against Hidalgo, and that's where Chucky was playing on the team. So we talked about playing against each other. Yeah, I'm not going to say who won, but yeah.
I've got one more for you. Pull it up.
Yeah, they have that it's called ODP in America. Oh, in the US, they had that growing up. It's kind of since faded a little bit, but.
Oh, that's a good one.
What's this cup from?
Yeah, that is it's either Sweden, Norway, or Denmark. It's probably Sweden, I want to say. That's when I was in the Chivas Academy. In the summer, they would take us all over the world to play tournaments. Yeah. And so that was actually, we went, when I was 12 and I was 13, we went to Sweden to play 3 tournaments. And then we went to Sweden, Denmark, and Norway to play in another 3 tournaments. And then my mom would want to travel to watch a game. So that's after winning one of the cups, because the first year we were there, we won all 3 cups. And then the next year, we won 2 out of 3. So we were pretty successful in this tournament. So yeah, it's awesome. That's an awesome picture.
All right. So you mentioned going to Philly.
Yeah.
Were you in the academy system there, or what happened?
Yeah. So back in the day, I'm so old now. The union hadn't been formed yet. Yeah. So the year that I got there was actually the union's first year playing in MLS, and they didn't have an academy system yet. So I played for my high school team, which was Shipley, and I played at FC Delco, which was one of the stronger academies back in the day in Philadelphia.
Still have it.
Yeah.
Charlie Davies.
Yeah, Charlie Davies. Yeah. And then the last year I was doing, it was called Union Juniors back then. So they would get some of the better players from different teams, and they'd have them train and play some friendlies with the Union, with the Union Academy that was forming. But it definitely wasn't what it is nowadays, the Union Academy. So that was kind of my experience in Philadelphia. So it was very different from what it is nowadays, I would say.
And on the MLS side, you've experienced with LAFC and Charlotte.
Yeah.
I know you weren't with LAFC during the expansion year, but 2 new clubs.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for being a part of the MLS?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, when I got to LAFC, it was really a good opportunity for me. I had been in Spain for 6.5 years. The last, I want to say, year and a half, I had battled with some very serious injuries. So getting the opportunity to come in and really compete for minutes from the get-go was really special for me. And that first year at LAFC, I played a decent amount of games. We won the Supporters' Shield, so it was a really successful year and a really cool experience. And then, like you mentioned, with Charlotte, it was a totally different experience where it was a new club. Everything was new. The city really got behind the club, so it was also a really cool experience. But yeah, so 2 very different experiences, but 2 very, I would say, gratifying and interesting experiences that have helped me develop as a professional.
And how'd you end up at San Diego FC?
Yeah, so last year I made the decision to go and play in San Antonio, which is USL. I thought I just needed to play because in Charlotte, I didn't get as many minutes as I wanted. So I felt that the best thing for my career was to actually go and get a full season of playing every game. And I did that. I think I had a good year last year. And in December, I got a call from Jason Grubb, the goalkeeper coach, and he was like, "We're interested in bringing you in. Is that something that you would consider?" And I was like, "San Diego?" Of course I'd consider that. So as soon as I got that call, I was all in. I was bought in, and I'm super happy to be here. It's an amazing project. The way that the staff works, the way that the team works, the way everything is set up, it's set up for us to be successful. So it's a really, really cool experience to be here.
How did you, going back, in your early days. How did you go from Chivas to Philly? Like, what was that transition?
Yeah, so that was actually like a family decision.
Okay.
So I was very happy in Guadalajara and in Chivas, but my family ended up moving to Philadelphia.
Okay.
So it wasn't like necessarily my decision.
Okay.
And it was actually that first year was very hard because I went from being in Chivas, which was like very structured, professional environment, even at 14.
Yeah.
To go into FC Delco, where it was just a different level
really
of
good club soccer.
It was good club
Yeah.
soccer, but it was just I would say, different level. And I think soccer back then wasn't what it is today in the States, you know?
Yeah.
So I went from having very specific goalkeeper sessions to having maybe goalkeeper sessions with 40 goalkeepers.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, wow, this is very different from what I'm used to. But I think ultimately it helped me develop as a goalkeeper because I got like a little bit of that Mexican side. I have some American side. And then later on in my career, when I went to Spain, I got to develop with that like Spanish style. So it's like it made me a very complete and all-around goalkeeper, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of curious about is, with the SCFC Academy being here and everything, you have such like unique experiences. First of all, growing up in Mexico City, Guadalajara, I mean, soccer's like it's life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just part of you. Like you knew early on that you wanted to be pro. Here more so, it's like, as Sal and I, we played multiple sports growing up, and we're just like, I guess we'll play soccer. I guess we'll stick to it.
Yeah.
But here, having this, again, new development, you're used to that, and an academy, do you think you want to be a part of like the academy youth where it's not only you understand growing up in an environment where soccer is very prominent, but it's also new, and the structure and what your like own life lessons can bring?
Yeah, so like talking about the SDFC Academy,
Yeah.
I think that it is one of, if not the best setups in the U.S. for these kids. I think that the way that they're structuring and the tools that they're going to give the kids are absolutely incredible. I think that the fact that this club has such a clear identity and such a clear style of play is going to make it really easy for these kids to develop. And when they're ready to make the jump for the first team, they're going to know exactly what to do. Because we've seen it with the IA kids that have come in to train with us, where it's like, even though they're from Denmark, from Egypt, from Ghana, and they've never played with us, they come in and they know exactly what to do, because it's like the system is so clear that they know how to beat the press, how to position themselves. So it makes integration really easy for them. So I think that having that full system that is there for them is going to be massive, and it's really going to help their development.
As you were growing up, were you always taught to be on the ball more? Because I know in the United States, it was like, you don't give the keeper dead last. But now I'm sure your feet were better than like the average keeper would be for us growing up. But now with this system where it's, you're almost drawing people into your own six, you think that you have an extra step forward because you've been used to this for a little bit, or how's it been situating you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because even when I was growing up, even at Chivas, I'd say like the focus wasn't that big on playing out of the back. Like we always did a lot of work on like side volleys and like kicking, but it wasn't necessarily as much of like playing out of the back as it is right now. I'd say that in Spain, I had a lot of that exposure where Real Sociedad is a club that they really prioritize the ball and they really want to play out of the back. So there I was like, it's either you get better or you're going to get cut. So it's kind of like a sink or swim environment. So I had to get better with the ball at my feet. And then this year here at San Diego, it's kind of the same thing. It's like you have to be comfortable under pressure. You have to be comfortable playing with forwards that are maybe a meter or so away, where you're like, most teams don't ask these things of their goalkeeper. And here, you know that it's something you're expected to do. So you have to be comfortable with that pressure and just take on the responsibility and make the best of it.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that as a player, like being a part of that system and so integral in the success of the style of play here?
Yeah, for me, like I tell people that ask me, because they're like, especially people that maybe don't know soccer as well, or just friends that watch games, they're like, I get so nervous when you get the ball and they're so close to you. And I'm like, it's crazy. It's like the most fun I've had playing goal. Because it's like, obviously you have a lot more responsibility, but you're also a lot more involved with the game. You feel like you're a bigger part of the team. You feel like you're a bigger part of the success of the team. So we've had goals that we've scored this year where it starts from a build-up play, where it's either me or CJ, and we make a good pass and we break the first line of pressure, and then we're able to accelerate the play, and then thanks to that, we score an amazing goal. So like there's times where I watch our games and I'm like, wow, it's amazing how well we can break pressure. So I'd rather be a part of this team than being a part of a team that just kicks it long and it's like, oh, you have less responsibility with the ball, you know?
Yeah, I bet it is fun being a part of a goal. Right?
Yeah, it's rare, you know, it's rare.
Yeah, that has to feel good. No isolation. Sal was saying how all goalkeepers were weird earlier, and I don't believe him.
Yeah.
No, a lot of goalkeepers have a screw loose. Let's be honest. But,
I would agree.
But there you go. No, but Jason was saying how that's evolved a little bit too. Like as you guys are now being integrated more with the team and not being so isolated, like you mentioned, like off to the side doing goalkeeper work, but you're in the team, working the possession, you know, in the tactics room, just with the team, doing all that, has led to you guys being more normal, I guess.
There still has to be something wrong when you're like, oh, you know what? I enjoy getting hit in the face with a soccer ball.
100 miles per hour shot, yeah.
There's still something wrong with all of us.
Yeah.
This season, obviously, you've gotten to be a part of some historical moments. One of them being a part of when the team played the youngest backline in MLS history and playing with those guys for a little bit of time there. Tell us about your experience of playing with that group and just like what that means to be a part of this team.
Yeah, so that was amazing. Obviously, there were hard games. I think we played Vancouver and Nashville, if I'm not mistaken, with the youngest backline in MLS history. And obviously, those are two teams that are kind of at the top of the MLS table. And I think that part of the success that we had against those teams is what we talk about, like the principles of the squad. So everybody knows what's expected of them. So even if it's young guys who maybe hadn't played as much, they knew what they were supposed to do. So like we had been working on it in training for 6 months at that point. And when they came onto the field, it was like the expectations of what they had to do were so clear that they were able to go out there and perform at a very high level. And so for me, it was also cool because I had been training with them for a lot of the year. So it was like, oh, I've been doing this with these guys almost all season, and now we're all playing together in an MLS match. It's like, oh, this is awesome, you know? So it was really cool to be a part of that, with those games, and to have success together.
Does it feel any different, like when you might have like a Patty back there as opposed to, you know, like a Manu as being like in the leadership role when it comes to just experience and age? Or when you're back there as a keeper, you're just like, they're going to do what you say. I mean, you're in charge no matter who's in front of you. Or do you feel like the veterans kind of take a little bit of the load off of you by managing their line just a little bit ahead of you?
Well, maybe like when you're playing with young guys that aren't as experienced as an experienced goalkeeper, you have to take a little bit more command and be a little bit more of a leader. And especially in certain moments of the game, just like because we see everything from the back. So maybe at those times, it's like you give them a little bit of insight, like, hey, maybe step your line up at this moment, or make sure you drop when it's an open ball. Just like little details that you can see in the game that maybe you don't have to tell to a guy that has like 500 professional games or as many as Patty and Chris have. But I think that as the season has gone on, we've seen like huge growth from all the young guys, like Manu, Ian. You see how much they've grown. Bombino, Oscar, everybody that's played. Like you've seen the improvement throughout the year and just how much better they've gotten. So it's anybody that I have to play with, I'm super happy because I know they're going to do a good job in front of me.
Yeah, they might be nervous, but everyone's getting more comfortable as they go along.
Yes.
And everybody that we've talked to and all that, they always mention how it's just kind of like a familial environment. And so you might get some criticisms, but I know it's in good faith. And
exactly.
You know, you guys just all work for each other. So that's how you grow.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention is like, you know, we've interviewed now, I don't know what, 14, 15
it's episode
guys.
20. Isn't that crazy?
But maybe, wow, maybe 16,
you not watch?
I don't know, however many we've interviewed, but like you guys are all consistent with that same, you know, message. And that's what, for me, is impressive if you're building a first-year team is like, it's not like one guy coming in here and saying something else and then this guy saying this and this is why we're good. It's like you guys all repeat the same message, which is, for me, like a telling sign as to why you guys are sitting in first place in the West right now. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to Jason in a little bit. And one of the things that he harps on from his time with, you know, championship level teams is consistency and just how important that is. But I want to talk to you about a specific personal moment this season, the Chicago game. Yeah. Take us back to that and just tell us what that meant for you to be a part of that for this year.
Yeah, that was an amazing game. Obviously, it was my official debut with San Diego FC. And it was really special because my mom was able to go to that game. So she was actually scheduled to come to San Diego, and like the day before I tell her, hey, I'm actually playing this game, and she's like, I'm going to change my flight because she lives in Philadelphia. She's like, I'm going to change my flight, I'm going to go to Chicago, watch your game, and then I'll fly to San Diego. And having her there obviously just made the win and the performance more special for me because it's all like she's been like a huge part of my success, and she's been integral to developing me as a player and as a person. So having her there was really special. It was really cool to share that moment with her.
That's awesome. We've got some fan questions for you. I'll pull them up from the Instagram. I'm doing this live. I don't normally do this. I usually pull them up in advance. So
this is so rare. Wow, if you were watching this.
All right. What's your favorite thing about being a goalie?
I'd say responsibility. It's obviously a very scrutinized position. You have a big responsibility, but I actually enjoy that responsibility. I think it's really cool to be like the last line of defense. So I kind of take pride in that. So it's what I enjoy.
You're getting some attention offensively as well, so you're getting more
you
spotlight.
get a lot of love here.
There you go.
What's your favorite save that you've made for SDFC?
It has to be the first one against Chicago.
Yeah.
That one where it's like, I think I play the ball to Chris and I'm out of position and we lose in transition, which is also part of our style. Like it can happen. And then just running back and diving and making that big save. Like it's a good way to get into a game. So it was a good one.
What goalie has inspired you the most in your career?
I would say there's 2 or 3. So I would say definitely Iker Casillas. Growing up, I always loved him and he was a big inspiration. And then on the Mexican side, I would say Osvaldo Sanchez and Luis Michel. There were 2 goalkeepers that played for Chivas when I was growing up. And I was very close to Michel and I became like good friends with him. So having those 2 role models obviously helped me see the game differently and it really helped my development.
We've got some teammate minute questions now. These are always fun. This one sounds like it's a bit of an inside joke. So this is from Ian Pilcher. Who is the most posh on the team?
The most posh? I would say it's probably Ian. I say it might be.
He's throwing himself under the bus there.
It'd have to be either Ian or, who could also get in there? It would probably be Marcus.
Really?
Like you see him and he's always like very well put together and very...
Gets a haircut
That's
every
what
day.
everyone says. It's very clean, very organized.
It could be Marcus as well.
Good sense of style. Why do you throw Ian in there?
Huh? Ian, because he just the way he is, the way he talks, the way he's just very like
very proper.
Very proper, very posh, I'd say.
This one is from Franco. It says, this is in Spanish. ¿Por qué le dicen Amadeo? Which means, why do they call you Amadeo?
Yeah, that's like a little inside joke from Latinos. And everybody in the Latino group has a nickname. Uh-huh. And they call me Amadeo because of this movie that nobody even saw, but Franco somehow saw it. I don't know if it's an Argentinian movie. It's called Metegol, and one of the characters is Amadeo, and he's like a tall, lanky guy. So he calls me Amadeo because of that. So that's why.
Well, that sets up this question from a fan nicely. Do you have a nickname that the fans should call you?
The fans, I don't know. Definitely not Amadeo, but I don't know. They can come up with whatever they want.
And what's been your favorite memory playing for this club so far?
I would say that it's either the Chicago game because I had my mom there, but also the Nashville game where I got my first clean sheet and doing it with the youngest backline in MLS history was really cool. So I'd say that those 2 are probably the coolest moments I've had with San Diego FC so far.
Yeah, can't top that.
No,
you can.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean,
but excited for what's to come, and thank you so much for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Single match tickets for San Diego FC's Audi 2025 MLS Cup Playoff matches are on sale now at sandiegofc.com/playoffs. Fans can secure their seats to witness the club's first postseason run and be a part of this milestone moment in San Diego soccer history. 2026 SDFC season ticket members receive guaranteed access to purchase playoff tickets with the best value and best seats. Fans interested in becoming a season ticket member can visit sandiegofc.com/memberships for more information. Fans can learn more about tickets, playoff format, and more by visiting sandiegofc.com/playoffs.
Hey everybody, this is Darren Smith. I host a radio show called SDFC Midweek Live. You can hear it Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock on San Diego Sports 760 and anytime on the iHeartRadio app. Join me, Adrian Garcia Marquez, Warren Barton, SDFC players and staff. It's the only hour on local radio dedicated 100% to San Diego Football Club and the beautiful game.
All right, we are joined by assistant coach Jason Grubb. Jason, welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Of course, finally getting some goalkeeper recognition on this group. We've got a goalkeeper-focused pod for you guys today. But Jason, just give us the background on how you have gotten to your coaching career so far.
Yeah, so originally from a small town in the southwest of England, Melksham, just outside of Bath City. Grew up there, played all my football there as a kid, had a great upbringing, fantastic. In 2004, I had the opportunity to move to the US to work for a coaching organization called UK Elite Soccer. Was there in New Jersey for about 5 years. And then from there, I had the chance to actually move up to Connecticut and work for Soccer Plus Goalkeeping School with Tony DeChico. So I spent 8 years with Tony up in Connecticut. Fantastic years. And then had the opportunity to move to Houston. So I was with the Houston Dynamo for around 7 years as the head of academy goalkeeping. before then taking a role with Austin FC. I was with Austin for 2 years, 2 fantastic years, and then now fortunate enough to be here. And whilst having the roles in Houston and in Austin, was also with the US U20s and then a handful of senior camps as well.
What was the process like to end up, coming to San Diego? What made that jump for you?
Yeah, well, it was an easy decision because I'd worked with Mikey in the past. Yeah. So Mikey was the head coach for our U20s. So I had 2 years during the cycle with him. And during that time, he really helped me grow and develop, not only as a coach on the field, but also off the field. And when he had the opportunity to come here and the opportunity sort of presented himself, it was a really, for me, it was a no-brainer. And it was one that I was very, very excited to be able to take.
Tough leaving Houston and Austin for San Diego.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Jersey
right.
first, don't we get Jersey?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Kind of like a oven in there. That's all right.
Yeah.
So talking about going up on all the youth teams that you've been with and now coming up to the pros, is there really a big difference? Like are keepers more or willing and open to listen to different ways? Because when it comes to being a keeper, it's more about tactics and body structure and movements and stuff more than just, a tactical, how you play, except for with us because our keepers have the ball so much. Right. But when you're teaching the young guys, they don't have their mechanics set in stone yet. So is that an advantage and you see them adapting easier?
Yeah, I think throughout the course of certainly youth development and then moving into the professional game, there's goalkeepers are always at different stages of their career. So at the youth level, you touched upon it there, they will go through a lot of physical and emotional changes throughout that process. So within the youth game, you have to be extremely patient to the process, but you have to also remain very consistent. And a big part with when you're working with younger goalkeepers is about trying to create environments that are exciting, that they can constantly come to and learn to love, certainly the position, because it's a very demanding and tough position to play. At the professional level, again, it can also be very similar. You want to be able to create an environment that the players are excited to come into every day, that's challenging, but also a safe environment in regards to where they can come in and make their mistakes, but also know that it's okay. It's a learning environment. So there's a lot of similarities between the two environments. It's just that goalkeepers are at different stages of certainly that process. The other side of it as well, obviously at the first team level, it's a lot more geared towards results. That being said, there's a huge emphasis, certainly here, on making sure that we develop each individual player, certainly along that way. So there's lots of similarities, that's for sure.
The average youth soccer keeper, right? What are they lacking to kind of get themselves to the next level? What's that last? What is it that if you go watch a club game in San Diego, you're like, okay, that goalkeeper is missing this, just like most of these goalkeepers.
Yeah, it's a tough question, and it's a great question. I think the first part is that whenever I'm looking at youth goalkeepers, it's like, do they have this ability or determination to really want to keep the ball at the back of the net? Okay. They have to have that real desire to want to actually make the save, want to actually keep the ball at the back of the net. So that's one of the fundamental pieces to the profile, if you like. You can see that. Yeah. And that's part of their, if you like, their love for the position, but also, if you like, part of who they are and their makeup of as a goalkeeper. So having that is fundamentally, for me, one of the most important, because as you go through, you're constantly going to be able to affect the goalkeeper's technical ability as they physically change. Yeah. You're going to need to tweak technical actions of the game. Same with at the professional level, as the game's changing, you have to tweak technical things subtly, but really it's about making sure that they're tactically really in tune to obviously what we're doing.
And that plays in part with how they're communicating as well, a little bit.
Absolutely.
I've always noticed this. I don't know about you, Mar, but goalkeepers, they have a certain, almost like a screw is loose or something. Have you heard that? And what do you think?
I have.
I just think they've always been, most goalkeepers that I've grown up playing with are always slightly different. Is that something you've noticed?
It's certainly, I would say, certainly something growing up. It was a big part of the game. I would say now, the way the goalkeeper is now interacting a lot more with the team and being asked to play. Yes, there's characteristics how we're a little bit different because we end up jumping in front of balls that are moving 80, 90 miles an hour. And we put ourselves in some very uncomfortable situations, which you could say, ties in with that. Yeah. But I'm starting to see more and more now goalkeepers that are being developed a lot more calmer.
Yeah.
Because of the actions that we're asked to do within the game. Because we're on the ball a lot more. We actually have to have a lot more calmer personality and persona to us. Because if we're constantly erratic, it's going to actually affect our decision making, both technically, tactically.
No, that makes sense. And they're much more involved tactically, right, than they used to be with the ball, and also more students of the game. I think they're expected a little bit more the communication. They can see the whole field, so that all kind of makes sense.
Yeah, not so isolated or integrated into the whole pitch. Yeah. And plus, they see everything anyway. So I mean, when you went to right back and I was out of center back, the keeper sees everything. They tell you what to do no matter what it is. One keeper, it'd be a corner kick. He was yelling at me from the halfway line, and he said, left. I'd take a half step left. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's like, look, man, you see it, I don't.
But I love that. That's for me, that's what a goalkeeper should do. Like I coach at the youth level, and that's what I want out of my goalkeeper is a leader back there. I mean, someone that's going to talk.
Yeah. Can you teach leadership back there? You're like, I know they got to be vocal. I mean, they pretty much run the back line, right?
That's right.
That's got to be. So is that something that you teach as well? Or do they have to be so knowledgeable about positioning on the field and where everybody is that they adjust it accordingly?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it sort of leads into the way that certainly goalkeepers are now being developed and the environments that we're putting goalkeepers into on a daily basis, because you're now seeing a lot more integration. So goalkeepers being with the team, whether it's with the unit or whether it's with the team in full, you're now starting to see goalkeepers have the voice and be able to take responsibility and have ownership on certainly these leadership things, and by making sure that certainly these younger goalkeepers are involved in that from an early age, you now start to develop those relationships. You start to bring out some of those characteristics with them. Certainly, that's a big demand of the goalkeepers. Certainly, we have here. That's for sure.
Hey, you guys touched on just like how the development of the goalkeeper position has developed over the last couple of years, but specifically within this style of play, I feel like the goalkeeper position is very important in being integrated into that group. Can you just describe to people how important this position is and what role it plays in the Red to Dream style of play?
Absolutely. So for me, it's probably two ways. So if we talk about being on the ball, so our ball possession, as you see, the goalkeeper has a big demand in being able to start the attack. So they have to be able to dictate the tempo of how quickly we play, but also how we can actually slow the game down, maybe pause to be able to attract the opponent. They have to be very, very comfortable with pressure coming very close to them. So they have to be comfortable with that. And then they have to obviously be able to make very, very quick decisions on the ball in a very short amount of time. And they have to obviously execute technically a number of passes at a very, very high level. So, when we talk about being on the ball and our ball possession, they play a huge role, certainly in that build-up phase. And then off of the ball, if you see the way that we play with a very, very high and aggressive back line. So it means there's a lot more space behind the back line for us to be able to defend. And that starts with the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper, certainly in this team, they cover arguably the most distance out of any goalkeeper in the league because of how we're asking them to play. We're asking them to play in a very, very aggressive start position, but we want them to be very proactive in defending that space behind the back line. So they're almost an additional defender behind that back line because there's just so much space there.
So offensively growing up, Sal, you might have been the same. I was, as a defender, I was raised with the when in doubt, kick it out method. Yeah. So did you have to transition from, the times of being keeper coach and all that, growing up in all the youth stages till now where it's you actually want to invite pressure almost into your own six and then play out? Has it never made you nervous, or did you get a little, or have you just gotten used to it? Because just as a defender, it's beautiful when we play out, obviously, and I understand, I see the pattern, and it actually looks gorgeous. I much prefer this if I was able to pull it off. But just as a coach, has it switched things up for you, your whole coaching style? Yeah.
I would say early on in my coaching career, I would find myself in those moments actually becoming a little bit more nervous, like early on in my coaching career. But then as you start to evolve as a coach, you understand that the work you put in through Monday through Friday, or the work you put in through the week, you end up relying and trusting on the work that you're putting on the grass. And now, of course, that's built up over a period of time. And the way we tried to play, the goalkeepers have very, very clear decisions and pictures that they're constantly looking for. So we replicate those pictures within our goalkeeping environment, if you like. And those pictures then obviously come to life when the goalkeeper steps in with the team. So the goalkeeper knows the exact pictures that they're looking for and they're not looking for, if that makes sense. So when you have that much clarity, which has come from obviously the top down, when you play with that much clarity, that then breeds tons of confidence because you can relax because in that regards, we're extremely well prepared because it's the puzzles and the pictures are very, very clear that what we're looking for. So because it is so clear, no, those nerves are never there because I rely on the work that we obviously do throughout the week and we remain consistent with that message.
Yeah, it's like you bait and trap them.
Yes.
I'm going to pressure the keeper. Of course you are. Do, and then you're out.
I have a kind of a tactical question a little bit, and I think I know the answer, but I'd like to hear from you, obviously being at the highest level goalkeeping coach. But goal kicks, right? So, for example, it's very rare that a player would tap it to a goalkeeper to start a goal kick. What's that trend's been happening for the last 2, 3, 4 years. What is that? Why? What's the benefit to playing the goalkeeper off a goal kick and then letting it start from there?
Yeah, I think there's a few parts to it. The first part, as I mentioned earlier, about dictating the tempo, when possible, can actually we get the ball in quickly. Okay. So that the opponent's not set, they're not in structure. However, when the opponent gets into structure, depending on how they're pressing and what triggers they have to press, and then who is pressing, then it will then dictate who starts with the ball. Okay. Because then we want to be able to trigger different presses in different ways. Okay. And that then will create a different free player for us. Okay. So it'll open up a free player. So if the centre-back starts with the ball and plays to the goalkeeper, generally speaking, maybe the winger on the strong side presses, where it will then create the free player. The centre-back that just passed the ball will then become the free player. Yeah. So it's then our ability to find that player who's now open. So it has its benefits if you can start in those ways, but not always the case. But really it comes down to, okay, what's the opponent, what's their pressing structures look like, who's pressing, and then really what the triggers are to press. And then from there, it will then dictate who starts on the ball. But the biggest thing is that can you actually dictate the tempo by getting the ball in quickly and not allowing the opponent to gain that structure. Yeah,
and I've noticed too, what it also kind of does is when a goalkeeper typically would play it to a center back, it's now on that side, right? Whereas now when you're playing it to the goalkeeper, like you mentioned, you can see who's pressing, and then you can pretty much dictate which side you want to go to, opposed to when it's on the right side. Right center back, well, now it's a tougher pass from the right center back to the left center back opposed to the goalkeeper to the left center back and vice versa. So I kind of like it. I've been doing it, but there's little reasons. I kind of did it at first, that's what everyone's doing at the highest level. I must, I got to start doing that. But no, it's made sense. And I've noticed that when we don't do that, I've noticed that we get into trouble sometimes. So it's been interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, and to touch upon that as well, when you look at the goalkeepers here with San Diego, the way it differs from around the league is that the goalkeepers here are asked to play a lot of passes short to be able to attract and draw the pressure. They can then create the space in other parts of the field. So then we can accelerate the play in other areas of the field. And if you look at statistically, our goalkeepers play the most short passes out of any other goalkeeper in the league to date. So it's a big part of our DNA, if you like, and our makeup as a goalkeeping unit and how we're trying to progress the ball, certainly how we're trying to play.
Yeah, 11 players on the field, use all 11.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's something that you like as a coach of that position to be able to work in that style.
Absolutely. When I was a young player, the game was completely different because the rules were a lot different. So, and as the rules and different rules are implemented, so obviously we have to be able to bring out different tactics and styles within not only the goalkeepers but the style of play. But it's something, yes, as the game has evolved, it's something that I've really enjoyed. Certainly teaching and working with, because it just brings you a lot closer to the team when you play this way. I think gone are the days that a goalkeeper coach now working in isolation over to the corner and then that being really their only bit of work. There's still a time and a place where that work is still very important, certainly early on in the session. But if you look at the way that we try and develop a lot of our sessions, that period is typically a 15 to 18 minute window where we work in isolation and then we're very, very quickly integrating with the team. Yeah,
I've noticed that. Even in possession games, you guys are always in there, whether it's kind of starting from a goalkeeper position and then playing out from there. That was something that Mikey mentioned early on because of how often the goalkeepers are going to be on the ball. It's it makes complete sense why they would be on the field,
Yeah, absolutely. So by having that environment and now working in an environment, that's been for me a lot of fun. It also gives me a closer connection to the team, and more importantly, it gives the goalkeepers a closer connection to the team as well.
Absolutely. Outside of leading the goalkeeper group here, How else do you describe your role and just fitting in with the assistant coaches, and what else you do to contribute to this team?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I think like I said, the role of the goalkeeper coach is sort of gone of the day. Like you work in isolation. You're now more, as I would say, an assistant coach that has. You specialize in goalkeeping, so you support the staff in any way needed, but you have a specialty within the goalkeeping world. And then, my role on the staff here as well, I also do the attacking and the defending set plays. So also that gives me an opportunity to stay very, very close to the team, and obviously it gives me an opportunity to work as an assistant coach in a different way. So I'll support the staff in any way that I can, but my main roles and specialize in is the goalkeeping and also the set plays.
Did you have experience in set piece, like coaching in Austin and Houston? Or?
Yeah. So actually it started when I started working with Mikey with the U20. Okay. So at the start of the cycle, I actually took on the role as obviously goalkeeper coach, but also working on the attacking and defending set plays. And that followed me through the World Cup. Mm-hmm. So whilst working on that on the side with US U20s, I was also at the club level doing it with Houston Dynamo 2 and then Austin FC as well. So I was sort of doing it on the side with them as well. And it also then that they sort of merged together. And in my final year at Austin, I was with the first team as the set piece coach. So I was able to then do a little bit of both with them as well. So it's sort of navigated, like my sort of coaching career sort of navigated recently in both roles, if you like.
Most knowledgeable keeper coach in the league.
I have in my notes here that Austin FC's their second team's first season, they went on to win the Western Conference title and then go on to win MLS Next Pro Cup at the end of the year. You were a big part of that team. What can you tell us about being a part of a team in their, I guess not technically their first year because they had the first team's first season to lean on as well, but being a part of an early team's success into making a good run into postseason?
Yeah, firstly, it was a very exciting time. I got to work with a close friend of mine, Brett Utley, who was a friend of mine. I actually coached him when he was in college at Quinnipiac. So to see someone go full circle, become a head coach, and then obviously have the chance to work with him was absolutely fantastic. But no, it was great. And there was a couple of things for me that were key. I think every day as a staff, we would just remain consistent with what we were doing, with the message we were given. We stayed very, very consistent. And like any season, there's highs and there's lows. We actually hit a little bit of a low that year towards the end of the season, leading into the playoffs. We actually dropped and we ended up having to go through the playoffs. We had to go 4 games, I believe, away from home. All 4 games we played away from home leading into the final. So we had to face obviously a bit of adversity. With that being said, we just remained very, very consistent with our processes. And that really helped us. And, it really ties in nicely with what we're doing here. I talk about the consistency. We've remained very, very consistent throughout the course of the season, throughout the highs, throughout the lows. And I think that's a part for me. And I'm still a young coach at the first team level. This is only my second season at the first team level within the MLS. But the bit that I'm learning very, very quickly is that you can't get caught on these swings of emotion. Whether you win or whether you lose, you have to remain very, 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 very even keel whenever it comes to that. And that shows right away with a lot of the work. So we've remained very, very consistent throughout the process. So there's been to this point a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Was that the year in Austin that you guys won when I think like the teams were able to pick their opponents?
That's right.
Next
yeah.
That's right.
So
that's
I think
right.
Benny did Kansas City pick you guys? Yeah. So Benny picked to play against Austin for their game, and then Austin beat them. So bad pick, Benny. Bad pick.
And I will say that day in Kansas, they played very well.
Yeah.
But on the day, we were very resilient. And I'll also say throughout that period, we've shown just different ways to win. We won one of the games in a shootout. We won games with set plays, clean sheets. Like we've just shown different ways of winning, which obviously is very, very important. You're going to have to be able to go that deep, you're going to have to create some of your own luck and also have some luck along the way. So
he was probably going off of, you mentioned your guys' recent bad run towards the end of the year. So
that's
he's
right.
Like, maybe they're on a bad streak.
That's right. That's right.
Got it.
Too bad
Just started them off in another streak.
What's it been like being part of this process, starting a team, in an inaugural season on the first team level? What's that been like for you?
Very special. For me, I've been coaching, this is my 21st year in the country, in the US. I started coaching here when I was 18. It took me 20 years exactly to get a first team opportunity with, as we mentioned, with Austin. But then to have the opportunity now in the league, and I've seen the league grow and develop in those 20, 21 years, and it's changed and evolved, as you know, a great deal. But to now have the opportunity to come in with a team like San Diego in year one, to have the chance to grow something from scratch and be around things from day one is honestly very, very special.
What's been your favorite memory so far?
So far, lots of very good memories. Lots of very good memories. I would say there's probably been two. Actually, pre-season when we played New York Red Bull, and not because of the score on the day. It's obviously a pre-season friendly, but just seeing the group fully click, and then for all the work we put in, we knew it was going to come to fruition at some point. We knew things were going to click. On that day, just to see things click, obviously a week before the opening game of the season, just to see it all click, it was like, okay.
Yeah. It's like they believed before, but then they really bought in.
Yeah, that was a really pivotal moment. Just watch it. Yes, like it was a very powerful game, and by no means the result aside, like it doesn't mean it, but the performance itself was fantastic. And then obviously the first game, very, very special to go away, obviously to the champions, but more importantly, it was great just looking up and seeing all the fans in the stands, seeing the family there, and like that was very special.
What do you continue to say? You've been coaching in the country for 20 years. What do you continue to see in maybe the next 10 years? Where do you think the goalkeeper position will go?
Yeah, very, very tough question. I see it in a number of different ways. I think to start with, I think when you look at it, I think we're going to see a lot more data continue to enter our space. So as coaches, we've got to continue to understand that process and understand how to use that to our benefit to help improve players and the teams. I think we're going to continue to see that side come through. The other side is that with rule changes is going to then continue to add different types of stresses to ourselves as goalkeepers. So for example, going into next season, we're going to have the 8-second rule. And obviously the goalkeeper will have a strict 8 seconds on the ball to be able to then play.
Or it's a corner kick.
Or it's a corner kick. Mm-hmm. So that rule alone is going to obviously increase the tempo of the game. You're going to see some teams obviously play very quick, but then you're going to see other teams not organised to play quick and have to play very direct. So we're going to have to be able to defend a lot more direct service. So I think one thing we'll start to see a lot more as soon as next year, a lot more direct play. And then the other side of it is that as we continue to physically evolve and change and new equipment comes into the game, it's only going to increase the speed. So the speed of the game is only going to get quicker. So there's a number of things I think over the next 10 years the game will change, but to pinpoint one or the other, I don't know, but I can continue to see the goalkeeper being more and more involved and play in an even more aggressive way, both on and off of the ball.
The keeper's going to be up on every corner.
Yeah.
No matter what time of the game it is.
Yeah, if we had it my way, we would be. Send them up.
What would your parting advice be to young goalkeepers? I'm just thinking now we have an academy here. We've got some young guys on the campus. For people that want to be in this position in maybe 10 years, what would be your parting advice to them for having success in this position later on? Yeah,
I think the first part is like try and understand like your why. Like why is it you love that position? Because you've got to really love and adore the goalkeeping position because it is so tough and so unique. And like I grew up, my great grandfather was a goalkeeper, my granddad was a goalkeeper, so I was kind of surrounded by it on the outer picture. So like that was sort of my reason why I wanted to put the gloves on, and I just gravitated towards it. But yeah, for me, it's about these young goalkeepers got to find really their why. Like why is it they love doing it? And then the other side of it is they have to remain extremely patient with the process. There's so many ups and downs because it is so challenging. And a lot of eyes are on you. It can be psychologically very demanding, especially when you're going through times that are very, very tough. But then equally, it can be the best feeling in the world when things are going very well for you. So for me, it's about finding the why. Why is it that you really love the position? And then just staying really calm and patient because there's so many twists and turns to it, certainly to a young career.
That makes sense, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I had another tactical question here.
Fire away.
So I want to talk about walls.
Okay.
When and when not to put a wall. So I've noticed that over the years, and this is just me off the top of my head, I understand the benefit of having a wall, especially when it's close. But I do think on some of these shots that are, call it 30 yards away or something like that, I almost feel like the wall's pointless at that point. It's like, why not just have the goalkeeper stand in the middle? You're not going to score from 30 yards out waiting for a shot. Like what do you see that trend changing at all, or has that already started to change a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's very, very specialized towards the individual, the goalkeeper, and the team as well, and like their philosophy of how they want to defend these moments. I'm a big believer in using the wall when you feel it's needed.
Yeah.
What you start to see now, as with certainly some of the rule changes, but what you do see now is that if you have, say, a 4 to 5 man wall, the opponents will add on a 3. So now it becomes very difficult. Like now you lose a lot more sight and time of the ball. So there's obviously benefits because you're now covering space, but there's also there's other side of it as well where you now have limited view. My big belief is that the higher up you get at the field, if you feel that you don't need the wall, don't use it. Because if you think about situations in open play, you'd be quite comfortable from 30, 35 yards, getting into a more natural position, being able to see the ball for longer, and obviously then we respond off of that. I certainly see there's obviously benefits, but there's the other side of it as well. But then, like anything, these are also great opportunities to be able to spring attacks and counter from these moments. If you're set up properly, you can also, because the opponent typically commits a lot of numbers, in these moments, there's a good opportunity to be able to
I think you mentioned it too, like the main thing in all of that is if the goalkeeper can see the ball, right? If you don't have a wall and suddenly they put a wall offensively, then that nullifies that issue. So it's just an interesting thing that I see sometimes. I'm always like, why are we putting a wall here? Like when we were younger, there'd be a wide free kick and they'd be like, get 2 men out there. Why? Yeah, I get the ball on the ground or something, but how often do those 2 men ever block crosses?
And certainly in the league, there's you guys would have seen it, but there's a number of like dead ball specialists in the league that are just fantastic. And there becomes benefits, obviously, when it's closer in and around goal, especially if you have 2 players over the ball and you're able to offset the wall that's past the post, so that the trajectory of the ball has to go further outside the post to come back in. Then there becomes real benefits. But of course, higher up the field, if you can go with less numbers in the wall, you can now start to divide the space in those areas a lot more to be able to defend not only the first ball, but now the second ball, and now be in a better position to actually be able to spring attacks and be able to counter from there. So, it's a really interesting topic and debate, that's for sure.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all that we have for you. Such an interesting conversation, and really appreciate your insight here. So thank you for joining the pod.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.